Half the Truth, Chapter 7, The Architecture of Secrets.
Here's what nobody tells you about being in a wheelchair. It's not your body you miss. It's the forgetting. Normal people forget their bodies 100 times a day. They stand up without thinking. They walk to the fridge without planning the route. They shift their weight in a chair because their back hurts and their body just handles it, automatically, invisibly, the way breathing handles itself. The body is a machine that runs in the background, and most people never open the task manager. I can't forget. Every movement is a negotiation. Every room is a math problem. Width of doorways, height of counters, turning radius, the specific angle required to reach a light switch that some thoughtful architect placed 4 feet and 8 inches off the floor because he had a working body and never imagined a world where someone didn't. The building has 2 elevators, ancient freight lifts from its hospital days, slow enough that I can feel every cable grown through the implant. They work. Barely. The kind of machinery that runs on stubbornness and deferred maintenance. Without them, I'd be limited to the ground floor, so I've learned their rhythms the way you learn a difficult roommate, which button sticks, which door needs a shoulder, which one makes a sound on the 3rd floor that means nothing but scares me every time. My body is a machine that runs in the foreground, always, and the task manager is always open. But here's the thing, nobody tells you about being me specifically. I have another body. A better one. One that doesn't have limits, doesn't need wheels, doesn't negotiate with door frames. It lives in the network, and when I'm inside it, I forget the chair the way normal people forget their bodies. And that's the most dangerous feeling in the world. The implant wakes up before I do. That's not poetic. It's literal, the node at the base of my skull. A piece of hardware, roughly the size and shape of a dime, fused to my brainstem by surgeons who thought they were running an experiment and didn't realize they were building a bridge, activates the moment the building's electrical systems hit their morning cycle. Lights on in the hallways. Kitchen equipment powering up. The server room in the basement humming to life like a heart restarting. I feel all of it, not as sound or sight, but as presence. A vast, intricate web of electrical signals that my mind maps the way Thea's maps the building in bodies and auras. Every device on Millhaven's network lights up in my awareness like stars appearing at dusk. The router in the admin office, the access points on each floor, the security cameras cycling through their feeds, the ancient server tucked away in a closet in the basement that someone set up a decade ago and never properly maintained. The network at Millhaven is, objectively, terrible. Consumer-grade router handling institutional load, no network segmentation, default passwords on half the access points, a firewall configuration that would make a first-year IT student weep. Whoever manages the tech here has either given up or never started. I've been inside the network since my first night. Not all the way in, not deep, not reckless. Just the way you'd walk through a new apartment, opening doors, checking rooms, getting a feel for the layout. I've mapped the topology. I know the IP ranges, the DHCP assignments, the traffic patterns. I know that the security cameras store footage on a local NVR with exactly 0 encryption. I know that the staff Wi-Fi uses WPA2 with a password that's literally Millhaven 2001 I know that there's an email server running Exchange with patches 3 years out of date. I know all of this the way I know the layout of my room, not because I studied it, because I was there. The implant doesn't have an off switch. The surgeons didn't build one because the implant wasn't supposed to do what it does. It was supposed to be a brain-computer interface for controlling a mouse and keyboard, a bridge between my paralyzed body and a screen. That was the experiment. Test subject, 1 paraplegic teenager, ward of the state, no family to ask uncomfortable questions. The implant went in. The cursor moved. The researchers celebrated. Then I touched the hospital's network and nobody wrote a paper about that because nobody knew it happened. I was 13. Lying in a hospital bed with a fresh incision at the base of my skull and a monitor tracking my brain activity, and I felt the hospital's systems the way you'd feel someone enter the room behind you. Not a sound, not a sight, a presence. The heart monitors on the floor, the nurse call system, the pharmacy database. The scheduling software. All of it humming and buzzing and flowing with data, and my mind reached out and touched it without my permission. The lights in my room flickered. A heart monitor in the next room beeped twice for no reason. The TV in the waiting area changed channels. For 2 years I was the center of something. Researchers in lab coats, clipboards, tests 3 times a week. They measured my response times, mapped my neural pathways, wrote papers about the boy who could move a cursor with his mind. I was poked and prodded and presented at conferences like a science fair project that happened to be a person. And then the technology moved on. Newer interfaces, non-invasive headsets, methods that didn't require cutting a child open. I went from breakthrough to footnote. The funding dried up. The researchers moved to other projects. and I was pushed back into the system with an implant in my skull that nobody knew how to remove and nobody cared to monitor. Here's the part that nobody expected, including me. The implant was still working, still learning, and as it strengthened the connection between my brain and the digital world, something else started happening. Slowly, over months, feeling crept back into my upper body. Not everything, never my legs, but my hands, my fingers, my shoulders. The neural pathways the implant was building didn't stay in their lane, they bled over. By 14, I could grip a fork. By 15, I could type. The doctors at the group home didn't notice, because group home doctors don't look closely at throwaway kids. My file said paraplegic, and nobody checked whether the words still fit. I didn't tell anyone about any of it. Not the arms, not the network. 13 years old, and I already understood the fundamental rule of being different in a system that doesn't want different. Keep your mouth shut. The kids who talk about the weird things they can do get medicated. The kids who demonstrate the weird things they can do get studied. I'd already been studied enough. The scar at the base of my skull was the receipt, so I kept quiet. I practiced in secret. Reaching into whatever network I was near, group homes with unsecured Wi-Fi, foster placements where the family router was an open book, schools with networks so badly configured that getting in was less like hacking and more like walking through an unlocked door. Each time, I went deeper. Each time the connection got clearer, faster, more intuitive. The implant was learning, or I was learning, or we were learning together, the hardware and the wetware evolving in tandem, the bridge between my nervous system and the digital world widening into a highway. Now, at 16, I can feel every electronic device within about 100 feet. I can read data streams the way Thea reads auras, as patterns of light and flow and intent. I can push commands into systems with my thoughts, though the precision depends on how well I understand the architecture. Simple stuff, toggling a switch, changing a display, pulling data from an unencrypted database, is as easy as picking up a cup. Complex stuff, rewriting firmware, cracking encryption, navigating a system I've never touched before, takes concentration and time. And I can go in. That's the part that's hard to explain to people who've never done it. I don't just send commands into a network, I enter it. My consciousness, or some part of it, some branching thread of awareness that the implant routes through the digital medium, goes inside, and when I'm inside, I'm not in the wheelchair. I'm not paralyzed. I'm a mind without a body, moving at the speed of electricity through a world made of data. That's the closest thing to freedom I've ever known. That's why it's dangerous, because every time I come back, the chair is waiting. Breakfast. The table. Our table. It's been 4 days since Cole crossed the cafeteria, and already the arrangement feels permanent, the way a river finds its channel and stays. Thea sits facing the room because she needs to see everything. Cole sits with his back to the wall because he needs the shadows behind him. Una sits where she can reach the aisle because she needs an exit route. And I sit at the end because the wheelchair doesn't give me much choice. But I've angled the laptop screen so I can see the room and the keyboard at the same time. We've developed a rhythm. Thea and I talk. Cole listens and occasionally drops a sentence that's so precisely aimed it rearranges the entire conversation. Una eats in disciplined silence and contributes when she has something worth saying, which is less often than the rest of us, but always more efficient. This morning, Thea looks tired. Not the normal tired of someone who didn't sleep well. The deep tired, the kind I saw in my mother's face in the months before they took her away. The tired of someone who can't turn off the thing that's draining them.
The map kept me up. Someone on the 3rd floor was having a bad night. I couldn't block it out.
You need an off switch.
You're one to talk.
Fair point. My implant doesn't sleep either. We're the same kind of broken, Thea and I, stuck with gifts that don't come with volume controls. The difference is that her gift shows her people and mine shows me machines, and people are harder to look away from. Cole is watching Thea with the quiet intensity he brings to everything, not staring, never staring, but aware, monitoring. The shadows under our table are doing the thing they do when he's focused on someone, thickening slightly on his side, reaching a few millimeters toward whoever has his attention. He doesn't notice. Thea probably does. I found something. 3 pairs of eyes land on me. I keep my voice low. The cafeteria is noisy enough to cover conversation, but I've learned that walls have ears, and at Millhaven some of the ears are attached to staff members who wander close to student tables, with the casual precision of people who've been eavesdropping professionally for years.
On the network?
On the server. I pull my laptop closer, though what I'm about to describe isn't on the screen. The screen is a prop, a physical anchor for conversations about things I do with my mind. People trust what they can see, so I give them something to look at. Millhaven runs everything off a single server in the basement. Student records, staff email, scheduling, the security camera archives, It's a mess. Whoever set it up did the bare minimum and walked away.
Ken Lennon, the IT guy. He runs the server room.
I file that name. I haven't met the IT guy yet, which is unusual because IT people are usually the first ones I notice. They're the closest thing to my species in any building. Well, Ken's server is an open book, no encryption worth mentioning, flat network, everything on the same subnet, staff and students. I could read the headmaster's email from the common room TV if I wanted to. She's read my tone, she reads everything, but there's a partition on the server that isn't like the rest. I pause. This is the part I've been turning over in my mind since 3 a.m., when I was lying in bed with my consciousness threaded through the school's infrastructure, mapping the server's file system the way a spelunker maps a cave. The main server is wide open, but there's an encrypted partition, hidden, not indexed, taking up about 400 gigabytes. Whoever set it up knew what they were doing. The encryption isn't the consumer-grade garbage protecting the rest of the system. It's military-grade, AES 256 with a key derivation function that I haven't been able to crack yet. Give me time.
Who put it there?
That's the interesting part. The partition was created by an account with admin privileges that don't match any current staff credentials. The account name is LF Archive.
LF, Leo Farid.
The name settles over the table like a weight. Leo, the headmaster with the deep blue aura and the underground river of obsidian focus, the man Thea told us about, the one whose clean intentions and genuine warmth are layered over something hidden, something that keeps him up at night. The headmaster has a secret encrypted archive on the school server. 400 gigs. That's not lesson plans and budget spreadsheets. That's something else.
Don't. Kai, don't break into it.
I'm not.
You're thinking about it. I can see it in your aura. You're already planning the approach.
She's not wrong. My mind has been running attack vectors since I found the partition. Brute force, side channel analysis, checking for weaknesses in the key derivation, looking for cached credentials elsewhere on the server that might unlock it. It's automatic. When I find a locked door, my brain starts picking it before I've decided whether to go through.
Leo is good. His aura is the cleanest I've read in this building. Whatever he's hiding, I trust him.
Trusting someone and understanding them are different things.
Kai. Thea's right. We just talked about being careful. Breaking into the headmaster's encrypted files is the opposite of careful.
I look at the table. 4 people, same thread, different instincts. Thea trusts her read on Leo and wants to protect him. Cole agrees, partly because he trusts Thea, and partly because his survival instinct says, don't attract attention. Yuna hasn't spoken, but her silence has a quality that I'm learning to interpret as agreement with whoever made the most tactically sound argument. And me. I want to know what's on that partition the way Cole wants the dark, and Yuna wants to train, and Thea wants answers. It's a need, not a choice. The locked door is there, and my mind is already inside the lock feeling the tumblers. I won't break in, but I'm going to keep mapping the server. There's a difference between opening a door and knowing where the doors are. Thea watches me for a moment. Her eyes do the unfocused thing, checking my aura, reading the truth beneath the words. I don't know what she sees. I know what I'm feeling, the restless hum of a mind that's found a puzzle and can't leave it alone, warring with the genuine desire not to burn down the first good thing that's happened to me in years.
Okay, map. Don't open.
Map. Don't open. I mean it when I say it. That counts for something, even if we both know my track record with locked doors. Third period. History with Rob Dunn. I haven't spent much time thinking about Dunn because Thea's the one who reads people and she's already flagged him as slick, but today I'm paying attention, not to Dunn the person, but to Dunn the network user. See, here's what most people don't understand about digital footprints. Everyone leaves them, and almost nobody thinks about what they reveal. Your browsing history is a portrait of your obsessions. Your email metadata, who you write to, when, how often, is a map of your relationships. Your device connections tell me where you go and when. You don't have to open a single file to learn enormous amounts about a person from their network behavior alone. Rob Dunn's phone connects to the school Wi-Fi every morning at 7:43 and disconnects every evening at 5:15, except on Wednesdays when he stays until 7 p.m. Normal pattern for a teacher. But his phone also connects to a mobile hotspot that isn't part of the school network, his personal data, presumably, and the traffic on that connection is different, encrypted. Not the casual SSL of someone checking Instagram, but the structured, deliberate encryption of someone communicating through a secure channel, a teacher with a separate encrypted communication channel. That's not illegal. It's not even unusual in 2026. Plenty of people use encrypted messaging for perfectly innocent reasons, but combined with what Thea sees in his aura, the slick thread, the ambition, the surface warmth that doesn't match the depths, it's a data point. I collect data points. It's what I do. Dunn is lecturing about the Roman Empire, the fall specifically. The slow erosion of institutions from within, the way power structures rot when the people inside them stop serving the structure and start serving themselves. He's a good teacher. Engaging, funny, the kind who makes history feel like gossip rather than homework. The students lean toward him. They laugh at his jokes. They participate. I watch him the way I watch a well-designed interface, appreciating the craft while looking for the bugs underneath. His warmth is seamless. Not a single stutter, not a single moment where the performance drops. That's what makes it suspicious. Real warmth has imperfections. Real people have bad moments, flat beats, times when the mask slips because they're tired or distracted. Dunn's mask doesn't slip. He catches me watching and smiles.
Kai, right? Settling in okay?
Yeah. Thanks.
Good. Let me know if you need anything. I know transitioning to a new school is tough, especially.
He gestures vaguely toward my chair, and I see the calculation in real time, how to acknowledge the disability without making it a thing, the social mathematics of performative sensitivity. Especially when the hallways are designed for people from 1920, the door frames are fine, the ramps are an afterthought. But I'm managing.
This building has a lot of afterthoughts. Stick around long enough and you'll find all of them.
I file that under probably means nothing, possibly means something, and go back to listening to the fall of Rome while a thread of my awareness monitors Dunn's encrypted traffic in the background. 11 p.m. The building sleeps. I don't. My room is on the second floor, which is inconvenient for physical navigation but irrelevant for what I do at night. The laptop is open on my desk, prop, anchor, the physical token of a process that happens entirely in my head. The screen shows a terminal window with scrolling text that I'm generating with my mind, fingers on the keyboard, translating thought into commands for the benefit of anyone who might walk in and need to see something normal. But the real work is happening inside. I close my eyes and let the implant do what it does best. The school's network unfolds in my awareness like a city seen from above. The router at the center, a pulsing node of traffic with connections branching outward to every device on the system. Most are dormant. Students' phones charging on nightstands, their screens dark, sending only the quiet heartbeat packets that tell the network they're still alive. Staff devices are mostly offline. The security cameras cycle through their feeds, mechanical and patient. The server glows in the basement like a furnace. I descend into it. Not physically. I don't leave my bed, don't move, don't even open my eyes. But a part of my consciousness threads through the network like water through pipes, flowing from my room to the router, to the Ethernet backbone, to the server room, where the machine hums behind a locked door that means nothing to me because I'm not approaching through the door. The server's file system opens around me. I've been here before, mapped the directory structure, cataloged the databases, traced the permission hierarchies. Student records in one partition, staff email in another, financial data in a third. All of it secured with the digital equivalent of a screen door, technically a barrier, functionally decorative. And then there's the hidden partition, LF Archive. It sits in the server's storage like a vault inside a house made of cardboard. 400 gigabytes, encrypted with AES-256, protected by a key derivation function that would take a conventional computer centuries to brute force. I've been running my mind against it for 3 nights, and I've made exactly 0 progress on the encryption itself. But encryption isn't the only way in. I promised Thea I wouldn't open the door. I didn't promise I wouldn't look at the doorframe. The partition's metadata tells a story even without decrypting the contents. Creation date, 6 years ago. Last modified, 11 days ago. 11 days. Whatever Leo is doing with this archive, it's not a relic, it's active. He's still adding to it, still working on whatever this is. File count, over 12,000 items. I can't see the file names, they're encrypted along with the contents, but I can see the file types from the headers. Documents, images, PDFs, spreadsheets, audio files, video files. A collection that spans formats in a way that suggests research rather than record keeping. This isn't a filing cabinet, it's an investigation run by a headmaster, hidden on a school server behind military-grade encryption. Thea said Leo's aura carries an underground current, an obsidian focus that has nothing to do with the school. She said he's afraid of something real, something specific, 400 gigabytes of fear, locked in a box. I pull back from the partition. I keep my promise. Map, don't open. But I don't stop there, because while I can't see inside the archive, I can see the traffic around it. The server logs, access patterns, the digital footprints that Leo leaves every time he interacts with his own encrypted world. He accesses the partition from his office computer, always late at night, always after 10 p.m. The sessions last between 40 minutes and 3 hours. During these sessions, his network traffic spikes, not within the school's network, but outbound, through the internet, to destinations I trace through 3 layers of VPN routing before losing the trail. He's communicating with someone. During his late-night sessions, he reaches out to an external contact through channels deliberately designed to be untraceable. The VPN layers are professional grade, not what a school headmaster typically uses for legitimate correspondence. I surface from the network. My room reassembles around me. The bed under my body, the chair beside the desk, the laptop screen still scrolling its prop terminal. My hands are shaking slightly. They do that when I've been deep for too long, the price of splitting my consciousness between the physical and digital worlds. The implant doesn't get tired, but the brain it's attached to does. I stare at the ceiling and I think about what I've found. A headmaster with an encrypted archive and covert external communications, a friendly history teacher with a separate encrypted channel, a school full of damaged kids, 4 of whom carry something impossible in their blood. My mother saw connections like this. Imani Adeyemi, who had perfect memory and systems thinking so powerful it looked like madness, who covered her walls in threads and photographs and documents, mapping invisible networks that everyone said didn't exist. They put her in an institution for it, called it paranoid delusion. Sedated her until the brilliant mind that saw patterns in everything could barely see the wall in front of her. I was 7 when the car accident happened. 7 when the truck hit the passenger side and the world went dark, and when I woke up I couldn't feel my body and my mother was screaming in a way that went beyond sound into something structural, a breaking that you could hear was permanent. She never recovered. Not from the accident, and not from the guilt, and not from the connections she kept seeing that nobody believed were real. I haven't seen her in 2 years. She's in a facility upstate. The staff says she's comfortable, which is what they say when there's nothing else to say. But her walls, the photographs and the threads and the maps of invisible power, the conspiracy she spent years documenting that every doctor in every facility dismissed as symptom rather than signal. What if she was right? My hands stop shaking. Something else takes over. A stillness, a focus, the cold clarity that my mind drops into when it finds a problem worth solving. It's the same feeling I get when I crack a particularly elegant piece of encryption, the sense that something just aligned, that a pattern just emerged from noise. A headmaster investigating something in secret, a partition full of research, covert communications with external contacts through untraceable channels. All of it hidden, all of it careful, all of it bearing the hallmarks of a man who found something he wasn't supposed to find and can't stop pulling the thread. Thea said, Leo is afraid of something real. My mother was afraid of something real, too. They called her crazy. I reach for my laptop, with my hands this time, not my mind. I open a text file and I start writing down what I found. Not on the school's network. Locally. Encrypted with my own key. Stored on hardware I control. Map. Don't open. I keep my promise. But I'm going to map everything. Every connection. Every traffic pattern. Every digital footprint in this building. Because my mother taught me, before the accident, before the institution, before the world decided she was broken, the connections are real even when nobody else can see them. She was the smartest person I've ever known, and I'm her son. 4 a.m. The building is dark and quiet and humming with data. I lie in bed and I feel the network breathe around me. The server in the basement with its hidden vault, the cameras cycling their endless watch, the phones and laptops and tablets of 100 sleeping students, dark screens pulsing with standby heartbeats. And somewhere on the first floor, in a room where the shadows are denser than they should be, Cole is sleeping in a darkness that responds to him the way the network responds to me. And next door to my room, Yuna is resting with a body that breaks chains and a discipline that holds it all in check. And down the hall, Thea is lying awake. I'd bet money on it, with her map open and her gift humming, reading the building the way I read the server, finding patterns in people the way I find patterns in data. 4 threads, same note. I don't know what we are. I don't know what the thread means, or where our abilities come from, or why we ended up in the same building at the same time, but I know patterns. I see them the way my mother saw them, the way the implant taught me to see them, the way every piece of data I've ever touched has shown me that nothing is random and everything is connected. The headmaster is investigating something. He's been doing it for 6 years. He's afraid, and he's communicating with someone outside the school, and he's hidden his work behind the best encryption I've ever encountered. I think about the fall of Rome, Rob Dunn's lecture, the one about institutions rotting from within, about power structures that collapse when the people inside them stop serving the structure and start serving themselves. I think about Dunn's encrypted traffic and his seamless warmth, and the way he smiled at me like he was selling something. I think about my mother's walls. Something is happening at Millhaven, something bigger than 4 weird kids with impossible abilities eating bad eggs together. Leo knows. My mother knew. And now I'm starting to see the edges of it, not the shape yet, not the whole picture, but the edges. The place where the pattern meets the noise. I close my eyes. The network hums. The implant listens. I'm my mother's son. I see connections. And this one is just getting started.